What's up, you guys? Steven Vanderhook here, back again. Let's get the first thing out of the way. Biggest headline of the day, obviously, when it comes to housing, finance, biggest headline of the day has nothing to do with any of that. It's Cam Newton to the Patriots. Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, I wanted to see what Jarrett Stidham could do, but you know what? We'll let him sit for another year and learn behind a veteran. It's going to be a good ride. Let's go. Today's video is the most important piece of advice I've ever received when it comes to buying a house. There's so much to know about buying a house. It's really complicated, and I actually have a lot of videos diving into the details of this coming down the line. It's in the pipeline now. Going to be experiences, my personal experience of buying a place, what I learned, what I would have done differently, a lot of that going down the road. But this first piece of advice was given to me years ago back in college, and it is absolutely essential to know before you buy a house. To set the stage for where this advice came from, you gotta know the source. Case Dice is brilliant. He's a genius, he's very wise, really funny, one of my best professors I ever had. He's amazing. Not only is he teaching at the best accounting school in the nation, and he's super smart and really intelligent, really funny, he would also just randomly take 2 weeks off, go to Moscow, earn at least $50K. I'm sure it was more than that. I'm just going to put that as a minimum, as a floor, for 2 weeks worth of work to teach accounting in Moscow at random universities. The dude is a genius. On top of that, it's important to recognize that this guy also spent decades of his life volunteering, giving of his time and his energy and his wisdom in helping others make better financial decisions, giving budgeting, counseling, things like that. So the guy really knows his stuff. He's really smart. The dude is absolutely hilarious. Not only is he one of the best professors in the nation, but he also just, every single day, he would wear loud, floral Hawaiian shirts. They cost him $5. He didn't even buy them new. He bought them used. That's what he wore every day with his blue jeans and his white New Balance sneakers. Exactly what you would imagine a grandpa to wear. That's what he wore every single day. Meanwhile, his brother is also a professor, always wearing a suit every day. And yes, this picture on the screen, it's not just some random funny photo he took. This is his official university directory photo. So he's legit through and through, always wearing that floral shirt, very committed to the cause. So one day in school, we're sitting there and there's hundreds of us in the class. And again, he's really smart. We're going over pretty advanced concepts. We're all learning. Our cerebral cortexes are firing and I'm trying to follow along. And he says, let me give you the single best piece of advice when it comes to buying a house. If you can afford this much house, buy this much house. And that's it. He didn't go into any formulas. He didn't talk about different forms of financing, down payments, PMI. He didn't talk about any of that. His simple advice, and seeing decades of volunteering, decades of research, just all of his life, what his wisdom had to show was just, hey, buy less house than you can think you can afford. And the reason being wasn't just saying, hey, you just spend less money on the big house. He said, whatever house you buy, everything has to match it. So if you buy this much house, you also have to buy this much car, this much vacation, this much clothing, this much luxury in every category of life, this much furniture, etc. And that's why he was saying, hey, if I can give you one piece of advice, just do that. And that really stood out to me. And here I am years later, and that thought has constantly come to mind. I've repeated that thought a lot. I've told a lot of people, hey, this is good advice coming from a really good source that I really trust. And he told me that advice, and I really took it to heart. We told it to the whole class, not just me. There were hundreds of us. He didn't even know my name. But a couple years later, I was at a friend's house, and it really hit. Now, this friend, his family, really well off financially. His dad was virtually retired in his 40s. Millions of dollars, lived in a really upscale neighborhood, really nice house, but a super humble, great family. Now, a big group of us were hanging out at his house. He was having a party, and we're all eating food, enjoying it, having a good time. Again, really nice house, sweet cars in the driveway, just an awesome place, but a really humble family that just happened to have a lot of money. But they didn't really care about materialistic things. And we went down to their basement to watch some lacrosse, and we realized, wait, this is your basement TV? It was just an old hunk of junk. Right? Some old big tube TV that weighed 100 pounds, and it was lame. And it just didn't fit. Now, if I would have been at someone else's house, I wouldn't have thought twice about it. It wasn't a big deal. It was just a TV in the basement. Who cares? But for this nice house, it didn't fit. And that's where I made the connection to what Case Dice said. He said, you have to have everything else match your house, or else it doesn't feel right. Culturally and socially, it just doesn't fit. And so what normal people would do would be pressured to buy another $1,000 TV to put down in their basement when it's just a crappy TV in the basement. Who cares? It doesn't need to be nice. But it didn't fit the house. So this advice came years later, and I saw, yeah, this is exactly what he was talking about. This is a perfect example of how everything has to match your house. Now, I'm not even getting into the fact of saying a lot of people, in my opinion, buy way more house than they can afford. We're not even talking about that. We're saying, hey, wherever your gauge is, if you think you can buy this much house and you're doing that responsibly and honestly, you're not saying, yeah, if everything goes right and I get the next 3 pay raises, I'll be able to afford this house. Let's just buy it now. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying if you think you can afford this much house, buy this much house. That's the advice given. It's really, really wise. Think about it. Hope you learned something today. Short video. We'll see you next time.